hardtack. Hardtack is perfect if to put in your bug out bag or if you're going backpacking for a long period of time. The cowboys used to use it. It's like this really, like a thin, really hard bread, but it's chock full. It'll fill you up for long periods of time. So they would put it in there when they were watching, you know, the steer and everything and going on long hauls. They would put it in their like saddlebags, and then they would munch on it to keep them good through the day. So all it is flour, salt, and water. That's literally all it is. Super easy. It just takes a long time. It's a very low heat for a long period of time. So you set your oven to 250. You mix all of your ingredients. You roll it out on a pan really thin. And then you put it in the oven for 4 hours. And then flip it and 2 more hours. So this bread is something that doesn't go bad. If you make it and you put it in an airtight container, it's almost like dehydrated bread if you're into dehydrating, so it'll last indefinitely until it gets wet or oxygen goes to it. So get your food saver out and you can suck it in little bags, and then it's good for months and months and months. So it's perfect for a bug out bag. You can just make it, you know it'll tide you through till you get home. Or if you're backpacking, you need those, like the calories and to fill your stomach up. So it's good for that. You can also add herbs to it. Herbs are already dried, so that's something that's not going to go bad. So if you just don't want to do salt, and I chose sea salt because it has a lot more flavor than just regular salt. But if you're backpacking or whatever, you're constantly sweating and you have to get your salt back, so put a good amount in there. So all it is 2 cups of flour. And I'm kind of just casually measuring this out, nothing crazy. So 2 cups of flour, half a tablespoon of salt. So it's half a tablespoon. I just kind of look at it, but I'm just doing what I want. So I have the gist of how much I'm going to fill up, so I'm just going to keep going. I would also use Himalayan sea salt. That's a really good one. That has a lot of flavor. You can go to a spice shop and get all sorts of crazy. Hawaiian black salt is amazing, but it's very expensive. I think it's about good. But you can get crazy with it. And then you can get crazy with the herbs. You can do like a dill hardtack or whatever you prefer and that you would like on the trail or going. This is just to sustain you, but if you're making it, you might as well make it like it's going to sustain you, but it's also something that's good and you'll actually enjoy. Start out with a half a cup of water. Start mixing it in. And if you feel you need more, you could always add more. I just did 2 spoonfuls of flour. I did 4, just kidding. Let's do 4. So you can go up to 3/4 water, but it all depends on where you're making this, how you're making this, blah, blah, blah. The less water, the better. But I know some people say, like, if you're baking in Colorado, it's different than if you're baking in New York. It's a lot to do with your climate. And some things like have more humidity, so on and so forth. But you're pretty much going to make it till it's a really dry bread form. So it's just as if you're making a bread. You're just going to knead that flour in. And you can even use your hands to do it. You're just trying to make it like a dough, but definitely not a moist dough. You want it to be a really dry dough as much as possible. So just knead that in. And then there's a cookie sheet. Do not grease the cookie sheet. When you dehydrate things or take all the moisture out, you definitely don't want to grease the cookie sheet. That just it just coats it, and it's very hard to dehydrate it. So I just put down like a wax pavement, like a parchment paper, so that it doesn't stick. You're not able to grease it, so it doesn't stick, and I could just pull it off the parchment paper. All right, so now you've rolled out your dough. Make sure you put a ton of flour on the parchment paper and a ton of flour on your thing, your rolling pin, and then it's about this thick. So I don't know how big that is, but then you're just gonna take it. We're gonna put some little dots and holes on the top. There we go. The air can get in. Now, you can cut this off before and like cut it in little squares or however you want to do it. Or you can just leave it in one big thing, and then after it's done cooking, you can break it. Just, I don't know. It's hard as a rock, so just kind of throw it down. I actually might cut it into strips, and then, yeah, I might just cut this into strips so it's a little easier to put in a bag. And then just put it in your oven, 250 for 4 hours. Turn it over with a spatula, and then 2 more hours, still at 250. So it takes a long time, but then you have bread that's good forever and can go in your bug out bag. So I just cut it, and then I spaced it apart so it had plenty of air. You need that heat to get around so it really bakes all the way through and gets really crispy. And we're just gonna throw it in our oven, our dirty oven for 4 hours. So this is the final project. Hard as a rock, that's what you want. I switched sides after 2.5 hours, and then I let it go for another 2.5. So really it's not 4 hours and then 2, well, I guess depending on how thick you do it. So this only took 4.5 hours to make, and it's hard as a rock, so I think we're good. Tomorrow I'm going over Megan's house, and I'll use her food saver because mine's broken, and we will put them, I want to test all of them, and then we'll put them in the food saver and vacuum seal them, and then you can just put them in your prepper supplies. So that just cracked. It looks like a cracker. See on the inside? It's stiff like that. Let's taste test. So I did half the batch just regular, just flour and salt, and another batch, a second batch, I did that had like Italian in it. This just looks regular. Like a crouton, but it has a lot of flavor, and that one's just flour. You can also use different types of flour. I can taste the sea salt in that, which is really good, but it's really hard, just so you know. So if you have like soft teeth or teeth issues, like maybe this isn't the best prep, but I can definitely taste the sea salt and none of the herbs. So this must have been just the first batch.